going on, Faded Culture? Today we brought my man Caleb in from our online community. Said he was having difficulty with this kind of haircut, so I ran him down on my steps on how to do a fade, and my boy Corey ran him down on the process on how to do the shear work. I hope y'all enjoy, and let's jump right into this tutorial. This. And then as far as the top, what do you do?
I do like a little trim up top. I think he normally does it like a slick back type of
Slicks it back?
Yeah, like a slick back, and like, well, I guess whenever I style it.
Just kind of throw it back?
Throw it back, yeah, and like kind of like let the curls do its thing, but usually try to cut like a little bit, like a little trim, something like that. But
okay.
Try to get like the flow.
Do you have trouble with the shear work on top that you do, or no?
I think just overall with everything.
Okay.
Kind of just like.
Just trying to get clarity on the process as a whole.
Refine everything better.
Trimming the top?
Yeah, slightly trim it. Matter of fact, you want to come in and do the trim, Corey?
Let's do it.
Maybe you can give some good tips. I was just telling them how...
Just a tip?
Just the tip, bro, that's all we need. I was just telling them with fucking hair this curly and this coarse, you gotta soak the shit out of it.
It's thick, huh?
Yeah,
super thick.
You can tell by how it sticks whenever it's short.
Yeah.
So Caleb, I know you've seen him, he's in the online community, he's part of the school.
Yep.
Came in today, he said he was having difficulty and just wants clarity on how to approach his haircut as a whole. Gets a bald mid fade, the V in the back, slight trim on top.
Okay.
High fade.
Yeah, high fade, sorry about that, man.
Oh shit, I'm going in there?
Yeah, no shit, almost got fired before we started.
So you get whatever we get you now.
Yeah, you ready, my bad. I didn't mean to say
He's on my bad, he's all feeling guilty.
I think I did, bro. Nah, you hit me with that short.
He's like, yeah, do it for on top, it's fine.
Before I hand off completely this mic to Corey, if you do want to join our online community, it's in the description below. Join that.
Yeah, definitely. This is where we try and give away as much game as we can to you guys at home. Just because it's so important, we understand that you have a lot of questions that maybe you don't want to ask in the barbershop, or you don't want to ask the owner or whoever you're seeking guidance from. So we hope that this is a platform where you guys can get those questions answered and feel secure about it and feel like there's a community around you supporting you. So, all right, yeah, so we're gonna work on trimming the top of this. First and foremost, I kind of want to just check where the hair is at. Sergio and Adrian and I have been working on a method to cut the top and use our shear work. So before we go ahead and get into that, I just want to check the length and see how even it is across the board. So the way that I'm gonna do that is just take a brief center profile section, kind of split this thing down the middle, or just split it in half.
Be all uneven.
Nah, that's all right. Well, I mean, well, let me preface by telling y'all this. The hair is curly, right? So it's not gonna be like straight hair where you're gonna pull it up and you're gonna see something that's super straight across. A lot of times with the curly hair, the lengths are gonna be different. So as long as they're ballpark around the same, then you're in a good spot. You just don't wanna see huge inconsistency. So note that for curly hair, you don't expect it to be extremely straight across the top like if the hair was straight, because with curly hair, it's dimensional. It's gonna carry different lengths. So I like to check normally in like 3 specific areas. Those specific areas are gonna be like right in the middle, right in the front, and just kind of back here around the crown where the hair is normally the heaviest at. So if you check those 3 places, you can kind of get a good tell how even it is, what work you may have to do. Because what I don't wanna do is I don't wanna start teaching you a specific way to do that, and then you do that way, but the hair was uneven to start, so now you kind of have a bad baseline, you know? Now you're just, exactly. What I'm doing here is I took just a little like comb width section right here to go ahead and check that work. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull it straight up from the head. Looks something like this. Okay, so what I'm looking for and what I see here is this length here on the outside, right, is shorter than the length here internally. So what happens is you have this shape kind of that's just sitting on his head like this. Well, I wanna make that shape a little bit more square. If there's already shortness on the sides, it's good because that's what we normally fade into, right? So that's naturally probably why the sides are gonna be shorter, because you're taking your clipper and you're fading into that hair whenever you're cutting normally. So if you see that, don't worry about that. What I would recommend is just kind of making that hair match in the middle. So that length comes up, we can see our shortest length here on the outside, and I would just make that even across the board. So I'm taking little mental notes as I'm gathering this information. Do the same thing in the fringe. Take a small section, lift it up. Same thing here, right? You have a shortness on the outside that you can see. It's in the comb there, and then length that sits here on top. Okay? We just want to make those things consistent. And I think that overall, you end up liking the way that the hair looks a lot better. It'll feel a lot bouncier for the curly haired client, and you'll just enjoy it. I'll do the same thing here in the back. Just go ahead and check. Again, same thing, right? So this hair is almost cut in like this triangle shape here, where you have all this weight up here, and then you have less weight here, which is fine. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just something that we're gonna take note of, change it, and just make it more balanced. So a lot of times what happens is whenever you guys are learning something or learning new techniques or tricks, you get really discouraged if something's not a very specific way. I would say refrain from doing that. Don't beat yourself up about it so much. Just try and seek the information if you can get it. If not, you know, that's what we're here for. So just make small corrections and you'll like it a lot better. And that would be my advice for you. So I'm gonna check this other side just to see. I would be able to bet and say that it's gonna be the same, but just for security purposes, we'll go ahead and check, right? Another section here on the side. Go ahead and lift it up.
You have questions at any point, Caleb? Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Shoot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Shoot.
So this side is a little bit shorter
Yeah.
as far as where the length is, right? So I'm going to cut this side first
Okay.
and then make it match, because this can always grow in more than as if I were to not cut this side and it's heavier.
Yeah.
Right? So
Okay.
this can always catch up a little bit. If this is too heavy and we don't cut it, then it's gonna look.
So you're gonna start with the longer side first.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Exactly. Just because, like I said, it just makes the most sense.
Right.
Right? Again, we'll check here in the back. This is where the hair is normally the heaviest. Same thing, really short lengths down here.
Yeah.
A lot of length through here.
Yeah.
Okay?
A lot of times with the shear work, like I'm kind of just.
What is your process for shear work? Do you
So
do profile?
I do profile, yeah.
And then
In the middle.
horizontal, or what do you do after
Yeah, horizontal after that. But I usually do the fade first.
Right.
So it's just the way I've always done it. And I know a lot of guys, they'll shear work first because it kind of like
balances everything.
yeah, kind of gives you like what you're gonna fade into basically.
Yeah. I will say for something like this where the hair isn't necessarily hanging over, if you want to do the fade to build your confidence first, because that's what a lot of this stuff comes down to, just confident in your ability, trusting yourself. If you need to do a super clean fade first to build your confidence, so that way whenever you attack your shear work, you're like, at least I'm heading into this with some confidence, I would say do that.
Yeah.
As long as the hair isn't hanging down over and constricting the way that you can do your fade, knock that fade out, feel good about it. A lot of times too, your shear length, and for the new people who are just getting into shear work, it's normally more time consuming for you, right? When you first started fading, it was time consuming and it took a while to learn it. Well, it's the same thing for your shear work. So if you want to also give some security kind of to the client, so that way you don't feel like you're kind of fumbling around with your shears or making mistakes or anything like that, knock out that killer fade work, show it to them, and then be like, now we're just gonna work on some shear work on the top. I'm gonna go over some techniques.
Right.
So that way it gives yourself time, you feel confident, they feel confident, and so whenever you're trying new techniques using your shear work, it's a lot more just calm.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and they're not worried.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Take that center profile section again, and now we're just gonna go ahead and even this thing up the way that we talked about before. I could have just left that center profile section that I took, but everything is a practice rep. Right. So if you get the opportunity to practice another center profile section and you really wanna nail it down, take the chance to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you sell yourself short, or if you are shortcutting it, then it kind of is like how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Exactly.
So you really try and be diligent on yourself about your practices and stuff like that.
Practice how you play, right?
Exactly, exactly. All right, cool, man. I'm gonna just position myself on the side again. I just wanna see where the head rounds a little bit. Gonna go ahead and separate kind of this back part and the top. So I'll show you guys exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So you can set the comb on top of the head like we've shown you before. Where the head starts to round will be where it falls out of the comb. I'm just gonna take a little section there, separate those two things. Okay, and so you have the back of the head here, which you can kind of clearly see even by the way that the hair sits. And then you have the front or the top here.
Do you ever use the cowlick to kind of determine the front and the back?
Sometimes I will, but even if you look at the hair right here, his cowlick is right here behind the point of the roundness anyway. Yeah. I would say a majority of the time ends up working out like that, to where the cowlicks are normally behind it. But sometimes, yeah, you will have to work with the cowlick for sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are gonna teach like super advanced and technical ways to cut the hair. Right now, what we're doing is the opposite of that. So what I normally like to do, or what we normally like to do here at Faded Culture, is we would take another profile section here and cut it and match it. But since our guide essentially is going to come from the outside in, we're just gonna take horizontal sections to the front. Again, I'll explain that to you to where it makes a little bit more sense. Normally what we would do is we would take another section here in the middle. Okay. we would cut our desired length for the middle, and then we would match it. So normally we would take a center profile this way, establish the guide going down the middle, and then we would cut horizontally to match the guide. But with what we established and how we collected the information today, what we're going to do is we're going to cut from that shortest length from the outside and cut it inwards.
What would be a good example of, like, because I know right now we're just doing what we want on the haircut, but
Right.
if the client came in, what would he have to have said for us to attack the haircut that way?
This way? So normally what I would hear from him is it probably feels heavier, or it seems like it would normally have a sag in the front on the fringe. It would kind of sag in the middle. You could tell that there would be a lot of poofiness down the middle of the head. Yeah, it's too mohawky instead of it sitting like just even, you know, and it kind of being soft and textured with curly hair. A lot of times with curly hair too, there's a lot of density that's hidden in curls. And so it gets to be real heavy, feels real heavy. For the person normally wearing it, you can kind of take some of that weight out of there and still give it some light and airiness to it. And a lot of times people with curly hair like that a lot better. It's just something that I've learned through cutting people with curly hair, getting their feedback from them. Just because you're removing weight from the hair doesn't mean that their curls are gonna go away. Unless you're taking a guard and just ripping it across the top, then you should be completely fine. So we'll go ahead and start right here. I like to comb the section that I took all the stuff outside of the section that I'm gonna cut. I like to comb it forward just to separate those two things so I can see it clear as day. As much as I have experience, I still like to build confidence too. And that's something that I like to preach a lot, is just building confidence throughout the haircut. If I see what I'm doing and what I'm doing is intentional, I feel better about it. I can speak to it if the client asks me any specific questions about it, or I can change and correct the behavior if I notice that I need to. So I just want to lift this straight up. This is something that I'll tell you, because I want it to be even.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna, even if I see hairs start to fall out, I'm not really gonna cut the hair until my fingers are almost parallel.
Okay.
So like, I don't want my fingers to be like this at an angle to match the lengths, right? Because now I'm kind of even creating something more round on top of his head and more mohawk shape. I want to have my fingers almost like flat on the head and just rise until I feel like my fingers are parallel with that length on the outside.
Yeah.
Right? And then I would cut that. Just like that. Right? And with curly hair, you got to do a lot of grooming. It bounces back up. It kind of gets back in the way of itself a lot. When you cut it and it's falling all over the hair, it gets a little messy. Just stay in there, bruh. Stay hard in the paint. I promise you, it's going to work out.
It's hard to get lost for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to take that same section again. Another horizontal section. Pick it up with my comb. Groom it before we cut it. I don't want to come in this way and match the length. I don't want to remove too much weight here. I just want to wait until my fingers are parallel, and now I can cut.
Yeah, probably it's gonna feel a lot better too, just like on his head.
Mm-hmm. I have two sections cut like that. Like I said, the hair is curly and it's not straight, so I don't have to bring one section into the other or vice versa. I'm cutting for a consistent shape. I'm not cutting for everything to be so matchy. Again, we'll come in here. And this will be my last section. Whenever I'm cutting the fringe, I like to move all the hair in the way that the client likes it styled. So I will cut all of my sections, and then I will ask the client normally, how do you style your hair? What do you do whenever you mess it up? What does that look like? And then cut the fringe from there. That's the money maker. That's the piece that everyone's gonna be looking at, especially the client. And normally that's the part that matters to them the most. Whether they're like covering their forehead or they like their hair to sit on their eyebrow. People normally have very specific takes on how they want their fringe to sit or how they want the front of their hair to sit. So I always kind of do like a little bit of a pre-style before I cut the fringe because I want to see how they're wearing it. Okay, again, this section here, I'm not going to make it round. I'm just going to set like my hand on top of the head, almost. Wait till my fingers are parallel, and then cut. Do you see what I mean by parallel? Like,
yeah,
I'm
like
kind of setting my,
your fingers
exactly.
Yeah.
It almost gives me kind of like a measuring stick too, you know? So now we've gotten 1, 2, 3 sections there that we cut, and the fringe is gonna go ahead and sit out here. We'll wait for the fringe to the very end. Now we got that taken care of. Now on this side, I'm going to match these two and combine these two with the opposite side. Remember we talked earlier, the opposite side was a little bit shorter. So I don't want to build something too wonky as far as shape wise. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just going to match this these two sides together.
So this is gonna be your, on this
Guide
side?
now,
gonna be
exactly,
your guide?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
So essentially, remember how we talked before how we would create that center profile?
Yeah.
Well, that guide that would be our center profile now is essentially just coming from the other side.
Right.
Right? So now you can see there's our guide now.
Yeah.
So it would be the same thing as if we had a center profile section now, right? Because that guide, when we lift it straight up, it's in the center.
Yeah.
So we basically have that center profile now. And you're gonna have a short length on the outside, which is completely fine because it'll grow into your length here.
Exactly.
Do you have a somewhat understanding of how shape affects the overall look, the end result?
Yeah.
Like when he said triangle, how?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because visually, like you said, if it's something triangle, it's like real mohawky.
Yeah.
I always like to tell people to exaggerate the shape. So you can do that with your hands. So if you're unsure about what people are talking about whenever people are talking about shapes, you can exaggerate all the shapes with your hands, okay? What I mean is if someone's talking about something triangle, well, what does a triangle shape look like on the top of someone's head? A triangle shape can look like this. So really, you could really exaggerate it. Imagine he had some crazy mohawk that goes straight up and it's like a slope, a mountain on both sides, triangle shape. A triangle shape can also be created this way. Right, so we have something straight out of his head on the top here, where the front is, goes straight up, builds up this crazy mountain peak, and then a nice graduated slope coming towards the back. It would be like a pompadour, right? Now you can have something real round, basketball in the 60s, afro. That's a great way to think about a round shape. Now, if an afro was super curly, and the hair was super curly like his, would it not be the same shape, just super condensed? That's what something round would be, right? Really following the head shape, okay? Now something square, again, box, right? Super boxed, okay? Imagine like a flat top.
Exactly.
Right, so those are your references whenever you talk about head shape. What are head shapes? If you have any confusion about what a haircut looks like compared to a certain shape, those are some things you can do, some exercises you can do to kind of visually help yourself to say like what would work best in this situation, or how could I create this?
So what shape are you trying to?
So now I am creating something a little bit more square.
Square, right.
And when I look at him in the mirror, okay, if I were to create something, now this is what comes down, in my opinion, okay, my opinion. So don't crucify me for this if you don't like my opinion, okay? The shape that you build, unless it's a very specific haircut like a pompadour and afro, comes down to your own discretion as the experienced haircutter. The client is not going to know that you gave me a square shape instead of a round shape, or a triangle shape instead of a square shape. They won't know the difference. It's all about how you articulate your work. So, for example, I could say, bro, that burger was banging. That's the way that I articulated and said, that burger was really good, okay? Both expressing the same opinion, two different ways of doing it. So that's how you can, I guess, kind of determine whether or not you're gonna use shape or not, or how are you gonna articulate it to the client. It's just a way of you expressing yourself as a haircutter through experience and knowledge, not only gaining knowledge of itself to be able to do it, but also being able to communicate that knowledge to other people. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, you're tailored for the hair.
Exactly. Now we got this section cut. We're gonna move on. It's not Sunday, but I'm preaching. I'm feeling it today.
Oh, come on, dog.
Again, just gonna grab that guide from the other side, grooming any hair forward that I don't need. Taking the section over on the other side. You can see how long that is there. Boom, and I just wanna follow it over.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any problems whenever it comes to connecting like two lengths like that? Do you feel like it gets shaky for you at all, or?
Not so much, because I try to keep my guidelines like pretty clean. But I do feel like, I guess like with him, like I felt like maybe I was gonna take off too much. And then two, just starting off with the fade. And a lot of the times too, like to keep from overhang, I'll just like section it off and like pull it out this way.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I feel like maybe it leaves it a little bit too heavy. Like
No, I mean, I like doing that too. I mean, that's a big way for me. The only thing is if you're pulling the hair from these lengths in here, and you pull them all the way out to the side, of course, when they come back, they're gonna be longer, right?
Right.
And these ones are gonna be shorter.
Yeah.
Shorter distance to travel.
Exactly.
Right? But what I see from a lot of people, and I might even have you take this next section just so that way I could see for myself.
Yeah.
What I see what people do is when they're connecting sections, what they tend to do is when you have a cutting line or a cutting section, people will let their fingers come like all the way up to the line, and you can't see your guideline at all. So as if you were fading, it'd be like your guideline. you can't see your guideline at all, and then they cut it across, but now you have what happens is like you're building these little steps in the haircut. What I recommend is go ahead and placing your fingers underneath the comb, allowing yourself the comb to come up and see the guided line, and then remove the comb, leave your fingers where they are, and cut across that way. That is something that I see a lot, like in all the years of education and teaching classes and everything. That's something I see the most often. And so if you're practicing your shear cutting, keep that in mind. All right, so we're gonna have this part separated from you, and I'll separate your fringe out for you so that way you won't have to cut it. All right.
Okay, cool. You're gonna take this.
Yep.
And then, so is this, okay.
So are you having trouble finding the guide?
There, huh? Yeah, I guess so, a little bit, yeah.
Okay. So what I want you to do is take your center profile section again. You can drop the hair completely, groom it all back together, all of it. And this is for anyone out there who goes through this certain situation that you just saw him go through right now. Anytime you feel like you're lost or you're not sure where you are, take a step back, reset real quick, go over your fundamentals and start again, because that builds your fundamentals up and it allows you to go ahead and continue in the process with confidence, and that's super important. Don't do anything whenever you feel lost and unsure. Go back to your basics and start again. So take your center profile section again.
All right.
And it's a common thing.
So it would be,
oh yeah, for sure. It's gonna happen a lot.
I guess maybe right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wherever you feel comfortable. I'm okay with it. There's
So-
no right or wrong.
okay.
Just wherever you feel comfortable taking that center profile section. Okay.
And then-
So you see how you had that finger in?
Yeah.
I want you to take that finger in all the way back. So go ahead and start again from the top.
Okay.
Put a little pressure with this finger.
Yeah.
Okay. Pull it back. Keep going. Don't move the finger. Keep going. Keep going. Now stop. Now I want you to take this finger and put that finger down there and pull the comb to the side. Now separate those. Look at that. Do you see the difference in the separation?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see how you're coming a little bit, it's coming curved again like that?
Yeah.
I want you to take the section one more time. Is that you feel like that's a good way and the easier way to do it?
Yeah, for sure. Like, especially keeping that pressure on that finger.
Yeah.
Like the comb, comb doesn't
Right.
turn. Yeah, for sure.
And then the hair will always separate again, which I think is really cool, you know?
Okay, so now that I got the two sections, then I'm just gonna, from the middle.
Okay. Now, so I want you to think, which side did we cut? We cut which side already? That side, right?
Yeah.
So where is your guide gonna come from?
This side.
Okay. And what side are we cutting?
This one right here.
Okay. What technique did we use to cut it? We were taking what type of sections?
Horizontal.
Right. So you need to step on this side
Okay.
to take your horizontal section.
Okay.
Okay.
So
you can choose it wherever you'd like.
Go right here.
Awesome. Okay. Now.
Yeah.
Yep.
This. Yeah.
Okay. Now, this section right here, the size of it, you see how it's like almost 4 fingers? If you were going to cut that, that'd be a lot of hair to try and tackle at once, right?
Right.
So I want you to take that section and cut it in half.
Got you.
Section it in half. Great. Good. 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 Now we can focus on this section first, okay?
This one right here?
Yes. Okay. Now where is our guide coming from?
Right here on this side.
Okay. So I want you to step on that side.
Okay.
And I want you to take a horizontal section on that side as well.
All right.
Okay. Brush that hair back, correct.
Yeah.
So brush the hair back that's already been cut. The hair that you want to focus on, it can stay in place.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can bring your body position back to the back of the head.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can lift up both of those sections where your guide would be, which would be in the middle. Right. Mm-hmm.
There it is. I think I kind of. It's a little bit too much.
That was it. Down. No, it's not. That was it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
There it is.
Good. Good. Okay. I like how you're not dropping the hair and I pick up the next piece. Perfect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tension's good. Good. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this is kind of
Feel like you're losing it again?
losing it a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But I see it right there.
Mm-hmm. Just gotta trust it. It feels like a lot of hair to you, so
It really does,
it's
yeah.
intimidating to cut it off. You
Yeah,
know?
like if I was in the shop by myself, like I probably would like.
You'd be like, no, this is too.
And then that's when it would get like uneven. You know what I mean?
You just start chopping away.
Yeah, like just get kind of nervous, or like you don't want to cut off too much.
Yep.
You just start winging it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you start freestyling it, bro.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
That's where the fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. What do you see?
Give you some tips, okay?
Okay, cool.
So the main thing, I'm gonna demonstrate it so you can see it how you were doing it, and I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay. One thing is, whenever you're lifting the hair up, I understand that you're trying to see, right? So you're
Yeah.
bringing the hair back and you're lifting it up this way. Just try not to pull the hair so far back when you're doing that.
Got you.
If you are going to pull the hair back to do that, just make sure that you bring it up again when you do.
Yeah, and keep it like straight up.
Right?
Got you.
Okay. That was one of the things that I saw.
Okay.
And then another too is you have to get a lot more comfortable with the comb in your hand.
Yeah.
When you're taking the section, okay, you took your sections beautifully, by the way. That was really good. Okay. One thing that I would recommend is deciding whether to comb the section that you're going to be working on forwards or backwards when you're cutting it.
Right.
The problem is if I already cut all this hair back here, right, and I pick up a section and I comb it back, what happens is I start to pick up all this other hair, right? And you had a section back here that you hadn't cut yet.
Yeah.
Right? Because we split it in half and we cut the front part.
Right.
Right? So what happens is when you start to bring this hair back into this hair like this, you end up doing like that. Right?
Yeah.
So I personally would have, when I split that section, I would have combed this back. And then when I went in to cut my section, I would have combed this forward
Oh, okay.
to create separation. And that's what's going to give you that visualization that you were trying to see.
Yeah.
So instead of peeking over the head this way, I can still stand here, come forward with it, and it separates it from all the hair that's back here that I cut. So I can see where my guides are and where my sections are. And that's how I would cut it.
Money.
Right?
Yeah.
Those would be my two tips or things that I saw that I would have done differently. But
Right.
I mean, bro, that's it.
Yeah.
How did it feel?
It felt good. Just sectioning is everything, I feel like,
Yeah.
with scissors. Mm-hmm. Because like you need that foundation to just.
Because it's like fading, right? Like once you get good at fading, you can go in and I can just pick up hair and I can just be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. I know where I'm at. Like I know where this is at. I know where it looks long at. And it's comfortable, but you have to, until you do your building blocks, I guess I would say, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
I love telling people to just start things over because it takes a lot of the flusteredness out of it. A lot of times whenever we're cutting hair, I notice with barbers, if we're not comfortable, immediately revert back to everything that you knew whenever you first start. You're just like, you know what, I'm cutting shit. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
This is cool. So the back right here. So this is just a visual test and I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. And I want to show you what I'm looking at. I'm gonna have you tilt your head forward just a little bit. When I'm looking at this side, right? This looks really congruent. It looks like it's you leave it dark, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But you can tell that it's real even across, if there was a plane here.
Yeah.
Right? But then when you come to this side, you can see how heavy it almost kind of sits on this side, even by combing it right here. You can step on this side and look. See when I take the comb up like this, there's not much overhang, pretty much flush. Then you do that on this side and there's a lot of hair here.
Oh yeah.
Right? Where is that hair coming from is what I kind of like to tell people, because if you look at it, it's not really coming from the outside here. So if I were to bring all this hair over here and cut it here, which I can see is what you're doing, because look, right?
Yeah.
What happens is the hair is really coming from, follow if this was a point and then you were connecting the dots, follow to the point where it's really coming from. It's really coming from in here. Watch me pick up this hair. See?
And all from the middle.
It's not coming, it's coming from all from in here, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we want to attack that a little bit. So I really wouldn't change too much about this hair here on the back. I would just change that little thing like that.
Okay.
And I would definitely like eye cut this. I wouldn't use a technique or
a section or anything.
A section or a way to cut it. I would just cut it to where it was comfortable. For those people out there, if you are super technical and you prefer being technical, I would take diagonal sections to cut this and make it all even. The way that I would do that is, I know I'm not heavy on this side, so I would take diagonal sections here like this. I would just comb this all back, wet it down a little bit again. And I would just take diagonal sections like this. You can clearly see how that section's diagonal kind of follows the same shape of that triangle. I would just take sections like this, comb this hair over that I don't need. If you need to clip it, but if your saturation is really good, then you normally don't need to clip it. It'll stay just like that. And I would lift it up here and I would cut this. So you can comb down. Just know if I comb down, I don't want to comb down on the head like this. I just want to comb down like that. And you could cut it this if you prefer to be more technical, just because that'll create a graduation that's going towards the back. You can see how it gets longer towards the bottom, and we want to prevent that. Oh, I almost cut off my, if you got that on camera, I almost cut off my whole finger right here. Oh, my heart stopped for a second. Dang, that would have been a big chunk of my finger. Damn. That's what happens when you rush, man. Don't rush. Don't rush.
Oh, yeah, you're taking a lot of weight off.
Yeah, because remember it was just heavy on that side,
for sure.
So you're gonna see the most weight come off probably through these next two sections right here.
I don't know if that's something that you do, Kilo, how he's telling the client to lean his head forward so he's in a comfortable position.
Yeah,
I think that's important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it just makes it extremely easy on me. I mean, I don't want him in a position where he's like so uncomfortable. You know what I mean? I'm not having him put his ass up in the chair, but
yeah.
I mean, you can.
But I mean, if you got to.
Actually, can you stand up? I'll sit down.
Yeah, so I just came and did a little diagonal section on the other side, just to make sure that it sits better.
Yeah.
And you can see now how it sits in the back a lot better, and it's not so heavy on either side. It has a lot of balance now.
Oh yeah.
So
It looks great.
Hey, this is my time here.
Got 5 minutes.
You know? Actually, let's do this fringe real quick. I almost forgot. Show me, just leave them. No, just fuck it. Cause tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. It's my singing debut. All right, show me how you normally style your hair, bro. Like, do you just kind of scrunch it up in the front, or what are you doing with the, is that how you do it? Okay, go ahead and yeah. You keep it out of your face so it doesn't hang down. Another kind of like eye cut, right? It's gonna be super quick. There's only one section in the front, okay? I like fringe to have versatility, meaning that I want him to be able to wear it back, like how he has it with all of his hair right now, but I also want him to, like, I don't know, maybe he has a date or something cool that he'd want to do, and he does want the fringe to kind of have a little hang on it or something cool and creative. I want him to have that versatility in his fringe. So all I'm going to do is cut it the exact same way that we cut the sections on the top, but I am gonna over direct it back, okay? Because I need it to have length when it comes to the front. If I pull it this way, it's longer this way. So all I'm gonna do is bring it up to match my guide here in the back, and that's it, okay? Reason being is, like I said, if the hair is pulled back, it has farther distance to travel. It'll have more versatility in the front, yet it also blends in because we cut it to our desired length of our guide.
Yeah, I didn't know that whenever you pull it back, it leaves it longer.
I think about hair sometimes like in the sense of like I said, connecting dots, okay?
Right.
If this is the dot and then there's a dot back here and you bring this, imagine if there's like a string and you bring the string all the way back here and cut it, then you let the string go. When it comes back here, it's gonna be long.
Oh yeah.
Now, if you bring the string from here to here and you cut it, the string's gonna be short,
Right.
right?
Is that typically what you do with fringes? You would bring them back? Or it just kind of, it just depends, right? On the
It
type of
is.
cut?
It depends on what they want, right?
Yeah.
Based on what he told me, that's how I would cut the fringe.
Awesome.
And now you see you have a nice shape here on the top.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get you dusted off too, brother. And he still has something a little bit longer in the front, so it's more playful. Man, shout out to everybody in the academy that's coming through and working on their client and perfecting their haircuts. I think that this is really dope. It's not something that I've ever seen anywhere else. I'm so proud of you guys for taking the courage to come on here, on school, get on the YouTube, learn, and then get in here hard in the paint and come perfect your craft at the lab, bro. So big ups to you, bro. I appreciate you coming through.
Man.
This is super dope, bro. I'm glad we got to work on this. I'll let them take it away with the fade.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, bro.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, go ahead. I'm gonna catch it. He's about to sneeze. I'll catch it. I'm here for it.